The week before National Day, Mrs. Tan wrote a single sentence on the whiteboard and underlined it twice.
Find a hero in your own family.
Around Mei Lin, the whole class buzzed with easy answers. Hafiz would write about his father, a fireman. Priya would write about her aunt, a Navy officer who sailed for months. Mei Lin chewed the end of her pencil and felt the familiar prickle of having nothing at all to say. Her family was ordinary, she thought. No medals, no uniforms, no stories worth telling. That evening, she trudged home through the void deck of her block in Ang Mo Kio, the red and white flags fluttering from every balcony above her. At dinner, she asked the question aloud, and her mother only shrugged.
Ask Amma. She was alive long before any of us. If there is a hero hiding anywhere in this family, she is the one who would know where to look.
Amma's room smelled of camphor oil and old paper, a smell Mei Lin had known all her life. Her great-grandmother was 91 now, small and folded into her rattan chair like a leaf pressed flat in a book, yet her eyes were still as sharp as needles. Mei Lin perched on the edge of the narrow bed and explained the project, half expecting the old woman to wave it away. Instead, Amma grew very still. For a long moment, she stared down at her own hands, spotted and trembling, as though they belonged to a stranger she had only just met.
A hero. There are no heroes in this family, child. Only people who did what they had to do and then kept quiet about it afterwards.
Mei Lin almost let the matter drop. Yet she had seen that strange flicker behind the old woman's eyes, there and gone, like a fish turning under dark water. And curiosity, once stirred, is not easily coaxed back to sleep. Over the next few days, Mei Lin returned to the back room each afternoon, a notebook balanced on her knee and a pencil ready. At first, Amma spoke only of safe, sunlit things. The kampong, where she had grown up. The chickens that scratched beneath the stilt houses. The smell of belacan drying on mats in the afternoon sun. Then, almost without meaning to, her great-grandmother began to circle nearer to a darker time.
The soldiers came when I was about your age. The whole island seemed to change color overnight. People learned to walk softly, to keep their eyes down, to say nothing that might be overheard.
Outside, a lorry rumbled past on the road below, and Amma flinched, her thin knuckles whitening on the arms of the chair. Mei Lin quietly set down her pen. Whatever lived in her great-grandmother's memory, it was clearly still close enough to reach out and touch. It was an old photograph that finally opened the door. Searching for a fresh notebook in the cluttered storeroom one afternoon, Mei Lin found a biscuit tin furred all over with dust. Inside, beneath a tangle of buttons and a broken pocket watch, lay a single photograph, its edges gone soft and brown with age. It showed a young woman with Ma's exact stubborn chin, standing beside a thin boy of perhaps 12. On the back, in faded ink, someone had written one careful line: "For keeping us safe. We will not forget." Mei Lin carried the photograph through to the back room and held it out to her great-grandmother without a single word. Ma's breath caught sharply in her throat. She took the picture in both hands, as carefully as one might lift a wounded bird, and her eyes filled.
Where did you find this? I had thought it was lost forever.
So, at last, the old woman began to speak of the things she had carried in silence for almost 80 long years.
The boy's name was Seng. He lived 3 houses down the lane with his mother and his baby sister. His father had been taken away by the soldiers one gray morning and never came back. In those days, a family without a man to speak for them was a family in danger.
She paused, smoothing the photograph against her knee with one finger.
One night, the soldiers came searching from house to house. They were hunting for anyone they suspected of helping the resistance, the brave ones who passed secret messages and hid weapons in the jungle. Seng's mother had done nothing wrong, but fear does not need a reason, child. If the soldiers found a frightened woman alone in a house, that was reason enough for them.
Mei Lin was scribbling furiously to keep up, but Amma gently lifted a hand.
Do not write just yet. First, you must listen properly. Some stories must be heard with the heart before they can ever be truly understood. That night, I was woken by a soft, frantic tapping at our back window. It was Seng, his face as white as rice paper, his baby sister bundled tightly in his arms.
She closed her eyes, as though she could still feel the cold of that wooden window ledge against her hands.
They are only 2 houses away. My mother told me to run to you. She said you might help us.
I was just 12 years old, child, no older than you are now. I was so frightened that my legs would not obey me. To hide them was to risk everything, my own family, my own life. The soldiers did not forgive those who sheltered the hunted.
Mei Lin held her breath, hardly daring to move.
What did you do?
I did the only thing my heart would allow me to do. I opened the door.
There was no time at all to think, only to act. Amma led the two children to the one place she trusted in all the house, a low crawl space beneath the kitchen floor where her family stored sweet potatoes against the damp. It was barely large enough for the three of them to squeeze inside. She pressed Ah Seng and the baby down into the dark, then hesitated, her mind racing.
The baby! If she cries, they are sure to hear her.
Ah Seng's eyes filled with fresh terror. Thinking quickly, Amma snatched a small jar of palm sugar from the shelf and pressed a sticky fingertip to the infant's lips. The baby, soothed by the unexpected sweetness, blinked and fell quiet. Then Amma heaved a heavy sack of rice across the trapdoor to hide its outline, smoothed down her crumpled nightclothes, and climbed back into bed, willing her heart to stop its wild drumming against her ribs. Mere moments later, a fist hammered upon the front door, hard enough to rattle the thin walls of the little house. Amma's father opened the door, and the soldiers pushed inside like a sudden cold wind. Their heavy boots echoed on the wooden boards. One of them, an officer with a face carved from stone, asked the questions in a flat voice, while the others overturned baskets and prodded the walls with the points of their bayonets. "We are searching for a woman and two children. They were seen running this way not an hour ago. Have you sheltered anyone tonight?" Amma lay rigid in her bed, her eyes shut tight, listening with every nerve as the boots drew steadily nearer. They crossed into the kitchen. They stopped, she was utterly certain of it, directly above the trapdoor, upon the very sack of rice she had dragged into place. In the airless dark below, she knew Ah Seng would be clutching his little sister and holding his own breath, praying silently to every god he knew. One thin cry from the baby, one creak of the loose floorboards, and every one of them would be lost. The seconds stretched on like long, painful hours. Then, from the back of the house, came a sudden crash. A heavy clay pot toppling from a shelf and shattering loudly across the floor. Amma's mother had knocked it down on purpose, drawing every soldier's eye towards the noise. The officer barked a sharp order, and the boots tramped away from the kitchen to investigate the commotion. In that one snatched moment of distraction, the danger seemed to pass over the trapdoor like a shadow sliding off the face of the sun. The soldiers searched the house a while longer, sour and impatient, finding nothing of interest, then swept out into the night as suddenly as they had come, off to hammer upon the next frightened door down the lane. Only when the last boot had finally faded into the distance did Amma dare to breathe again. She lay trembling in the dark, and from beneath the floor she heard, faint as the brush of a moth's wing, the smallest sigh of relief. Ah Seng and his baby sister stayed hidden beneath the kitchen for 3 long nights, while the search swept on relentlessly through the neighborhood. Each evening, when the curfew fell and the lanes emptied of people, Ah lifted the trapdoor and passed down what little food the family could spare: a small handful of rice, a thin strip of salted fish, fresh water cupped in a coconut shell. She whispered stories to the children through the gap in the boards to keep their spirits from sinking. And once, greatly daring, she carried the baby out for a single hour so the little one could stretch her arms and feel the cool night air on her face. On the 4th night, a message arrived at last through the resistance. A fishing boat would carry the 3 of them down the coast to relatives in safer country. Ah walked them to the river's edge in the deep darkness, her heart torn cleanly in two between terror and hope, and watched until the little boat dissolved silently into the black water.
I never saw either of them again. For years afterwards, I did not know whether the boat had reached safe water or had sunk beneath it. The photograph you found was pressed into my hand the night before they left. Ah Seng could not write well, so his mother wrote those words for him. I hid it away because the memory was simply too heavy to carry about in daylight.
She looked at Mei Lin with eyes grown suddenly bright.
When the war ended at last, I told no one at all what I had done. There were so many who had suffered far worse than I ever did. So many true heroes who never came home to their families. Who was I to speak of one frightened night beneath a kitchen floor? I was only a child who had been too afraid to turn a friend away.
Mei Lin reached out and took the trembling, spotted hand in both of her own, and held it as tightly as she could. That night, Mei Lin could not sleep at all. She lay staring up at the dark ceiling, the whole story turning over and over again in her restless mind. All this time, she had quietly imagined that a hero must wear a uniform or carry a weapon, or stand upon a brightly lit stage to receive a shining medal. Yet here was a completely different kind of courage altogether, a girl of 12, no braver by nature than anyone else, who had been terrified to the very bone and had chosen to open the door anyway. The history Mei Lin had learned from her textbooks at school suddenly seemed to her only half of the story. Behind every famous date and every grand stone monument, she now realized, there must be thousands of quiet, nameless people who had done frightening, ordinary, magnificent things, and then simply gone on living, telling no one at all. The thought filled her with a feeling she could not quite name, something poised between deep sorrow and an enormous, swelling pride. In the morning, Mei Lin gently asked Ama's permission to write the true story for her National Day project. The old woman was quiet for a long while, turning it over.
People will not think it grand enough. There were no great battles, no glory, no parades. Only a hidden cupboard and a baby who happened to like sweet things.
That is exactly why that matters so much. Everyone writes about the loud heroes who get medals. Nobody ever writes about the quiet ones. If I do not tell your story, then who possibly will?
Something in those simple words seemed to reach right into the old woman. Slowly she nodded, and a soft smile touched the corners of her weathered face for the first time in many days.
Then write it well, child. Write it so that the boy and his sister are remembered at last. Wherever in the world the river carried them, that is all the reward I would ever want.
On National Day, the whole school hall shimmered with red and white bunting. One by one, the pupils stood up to read aloud their family hero stories. Hafiz spoke of his father charging bravely into a burning flat. Priya spoke of her aunt steering a great ship through a roaring midnight storm. The applause after each was warm and easy. Then, at last, it was Mei Lin's turn. Her hands shook a little as she unfolded her crumpled paper, but she steadied herself and quietly began. She told them of a kampong, of a curfew, of a crawl space beneath a kitchen floor, and of a girl of 12 who had opened a door when every sensible voice inside her had told her to keep it firmly shut. As she read on, the restless hall fell utterly, completely silent. She told them of the palm sugar on the baby's lips, of the clay pot shattering, of the little fishing boat dissolving into the black river. By the time she reached the photograph and its faded words, several pupils were leaning right forward in their seats, scarcely daring to breathe. When Mei Lin finished and looked up, there was a strange, long pause, as though the whole hall had quite forgotten how to clap. Then the applause came. Not the easy, polite kind that had greeted the others, but something deeper and slower, that rose and swelled and would not stop. Mrs. Tan's eyes, Mei Lin noticed, were shining. Afterwards, a boy named Daniel came up to her in the busy corridor, looking unusually thoughtful.
My great-grandfather never talks about the old days either. Do you think he might have a story like that, just hidden away somewhere?
There is only one way to find out. You have to ask him. And then you have to listen. Properly listen. Even to the silences in between.
Daniel nodded slowly and walked off, already lost in thought. Watching him go, Mei Lin understood that her project had quietly become something far larger than a single piece of homework. It had become a door, and she had only just begun to ease it open. That evening, Mei Lin brought the certificate of merit home and laid it not in her own room but carefully in Ama's lap. The old woman traced the embossed gold letters with one careful, trembling finger, and a single tear slid slowly down the deep lines of her cheek.
All these long years, I truly believed I had nothing worth remembering.
Mei Lin sat close beside her in the gathering dusk, the first National Day fireworks beginning to bloom and crackle over the rooftops of Angmo-Kyo. Somewhere out in the wide, peaceful country, she thought, a man might now be very old, or a woman, his sister, who owed their lives to a frightened girl in a hidden cupboard. They would never know whose homework had finally spoken their names aloud, yet that did not matter. What mattered was that the story had at last been told and would never be forgotten again. Heroes, Mei Lin had learned, do not always wear medals. Sometimes they sit quietly in a rattan chair, waiting 80 patient years for someone to lean close and ask,